The United Nations chief has expressed regret that in-person meetings will not take place at this year's high-level week of the General Assembly. He was responding to a question from the SABC on whether the annual meetings in New York and the expense associated with them could be justified in the context of a narrowing fiscal space brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. And this was the exchange.
Have you given any greater thought to what this virtual summit will mean for the UN General Assembly's high-level week moving forward? As you well know, this is an annual event that happens in one of the most expensive cities anywhere in the world. The dollar currency is one of the strongest currencies globally. For example, the South African rand, you require 17 rands for $1, which means it's very expensive for large delegations in terms of travel costs, in terms of hotel accommodation, in terms of transportation, security, logistics, and the like. Do the outcomes of high-level week justify the expense that is associated with coming to this event in the context of the shrinking fiscal space brought on by this pandemic and the growing socio-economic needs that have been laid bare by it?
No, first of all, this week will not see this massive presence of delegations coming from all over the world. This week will be a week in which the general debate will be done through messages recorded by the heads of state. By the way, the largest number of heads of state and government ever recorded in their own countries and then broadcasted in the General Assembly room with the presence of the permanent representatives, but without delegations coming from the capitals. So your concern about expenditure will not materialize. But I have to say that diplomacy, to be effective, requires personal contact. And I myself am very sorry that we are not going to have, knowing that there are costs associated, I'm very sorry that we are not going to have the opportunity to bring together leaders of countries and that to be able to, for all those involved in conflicts like the Libya conflict or like the Yemeni conflict or any other one, or leaders that have an important initiative in key areas, be it in relation to climate change, be it in relation to fight against racism, in relation to gender equality, that we are not able to bring them together. We'll do several virtual meetings with heads of state in different areas that are very relevant for us, but we will miss that contact, that personal contact that I believe is very important for diplomacy to be effective.
But if I could follow up, are those personal contacts producing the results you seek on the ground? Is it worth it, is the question.
But the truth is that in many situations I have the experience, the personal experience, that problems that had no solution were solved when I had the opportunity to be with both sides and to discuss with them a way forward. This has happened several times, not always, let's be clear, not always, but several times, and I still believe that personal contact is an essential tool in diplomatic efforts.
One interesting discussion there regarding, virtual engagements and meetings vis-a-vis personal contact with the United Nations General Assembly, which is, of course, a massive event in New York every year. And it's you don't just have the official UN event, you've got tons of other little events unofficially happening on the sidelines of that UN General Assembly. And it does offer the opportunity for so many people whom you ordinarily perhaps would not be able to engage all at once in one go in that, a personal space. For example, it offers you that sort of engagement. But this is, I imagine, a question that would be asked for many people going forward. Do we still need to come together in the way that we used to do before COVID-19? And it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. All right, a few more minutes. Let's take a look at those